Hello everyone. I am Jim Pham from Whispering Audio Channel. It's now the middle of summer with bright and warm sunlight. Sitting in a small room, I can see rays of sunlight shining through the window, and tiny specks of dust floating in the air. They somehow represent moments in our life. Some are miraculous, some are just lost and disoriented. No matter which situation you have to face, be strong, delighted and ready to welcome it. How is your summer? Are you sailing in the Mediterranean Sea, lying on the sand at some tropical beaches, or spending a peaceful summer right at your home, watching movies with your beloved? I hope you're having wonderful summertime with unforgettable experience. Welcome back to Whispering Radio. The topic for today's episode is house husbands. Not a long time ago, a girl's opinion caught my attention. She said that feminists have always fought for gender equality, but many people would find a man less attractive if he was a house husband. So what exactly do people expect? When talking about this topic, she received controversial responses. Her complete question was, do women find it unattractive when their BF, husband, earns less than them? I work in a field with predominantly women, and especially between mid-20s, a lot of them say, it's extremely unattractive for their man to earn less than them. I even said, is it an issue for them to be a stay-at-home dad if their partner earns far more, and they said yes. I've had this said by women in their 30s too. For me, it baffles me, as women have fought to close the pay gap and wanted to be treated equal, but this topic of male wages and staying or being a stay-at-home dad doesn't really change. What are people's thoughts? In response to this question, the comments below received the most likes.
1. From my experience, yes, even if they say they don't. What I've found is that if you make less than him, then it can't be indefinitely. You would eventually have to advance yourself to a better position, hence them saying passion and ambition. When I was married, I was the breadwinner. I worked while my wife went to grad school. When our company was sold, there was a huge layoff with a shitty severance. My wife was supportive for a moment, but I say about a month later that support started to dissipate. And eventually she didn't want to be married anymore. I hear women say they don't care, but then I see the guys those women go for, and none of them are in a position of financial hardships. I think it is just in their nature to want a guy who has the ability to provide and offer security. I don't necessarily think it is a bad thing, I just think it is what it is.
2. Are maybe some women, possibly a majority of women, definitely not all women. I just want a man that can support himself and whatever lifestyle he chooses for himself. I can worry about myself, and I'm an adult. I don't need someone else to provide for me, nor do I want to be dependent on someone like that. In the same vein, unless I'm making well into the 6 digits, I wouldn't be comfortable supporting a stay-at-home spouse. If I'm making over $200,000 a year, yeah, fuck it, I would love a house husband so I don't have to cook or clean, and I come home and he can give me some nice orgasms after a long day's work, lol. But if I'm making under that, I'd want him to at least support himself independently, and that income amount can vary. It would stress me out knowing my partner would be depending on me for money, food, shelter, etc. Of course, if there's temporary hardships, I do not mind helping my partner because that's what you do for each other. But that would be temporary, with the idea that he's working to get back on his feet.
3. The major problem with socialism is that it doesn't take into account that people are selfish. All things being equal in partners being a match, and humans bring social creatures. We will pick income, status being higher or perceived as better over the lower one. A plumber might make $250K a year owning his own business. A doctor might make the same. Who do you think most women would pick? And that's why socialism will never work. Abe, that's why women would pick a partner that makes more or has a perceived higher status in society.
4. From a guy's perspective, it definitely seems to be the case. The saddest is when you're friends with somebody who makes a lot more and the GF starts getting resentful despite the relationship being great. I'm sure it'll get better as the trend of women out-earning men continues. 5. Usually the relationship isn't great though. Maybe from the guy's perspective. But women notoriously do more of the emotional labor, so having a boyfriend who is a lot of mental labor and also can't even contribute financially. Makes a lot of women rebalance the pros and cons. I absolutely loved having a house spouse, until he became way more work than he was worth. 6. Yeah, you'll just find that 98% won't admit it. They'll text, tweet, and write paragraphs saying otherwise, but they never practice what they preach. And if they do ever try it out, they will feel like they're settling for less. It's an ego and status thing. They'll use words like ambitious to cover up for it. Best thing men can do is to attempt to get as far ahead in their careers as possible.
So in theory, for women who earn a lot of money, they'll feel reassured when their husbands stay at home to take care of the family. But in reality, there are a lot of stereotypes about men that they should be the breadwinner and have high social status. Such stereotypes negatively affect relationships with a house husband. The most common idea is that a man should have his own career and become the main income earner to make his family happy. Personally, I think the problem lies in the viewpoint of house husbands themselves. Such men should believe that they're doing the right thing, and they're doing it well and happily. House husbands would have to rise above social stereotypes about men to support well for their wives and children. Only by this way can they succeed in their role as house husbands. If such husbands care too much about what others think and are not willing to communicate, conflicts will gradually occur and ruin their relationships. In such cases, the wife's empathy wouldn't help so much in maintaining their happy marriage. What about you? Do you have any similar stories to share with us? Talking about the topic of house husband, I want to introduce a famous book by Alan Tapley, Confessions of a House Husband. It is a comic account of the struggles, insecurities, and joys of being a stay-at-home father. It's the story of a man trying to maintain his masculinity while carrying a pink diaper bag over one shoulder, and staying sane after having watched his 200th episode of Barney. And on other forums on the internet, I also found the story of a man named Elroy Davis about this topic. Elroy Davis lives in southern Vermont with his wife and 3 daughters. In addition to writing, his hobbies include Lego trains, board gaming, model railroading, mask making, photography, and, most recently, scratch building traditional skin-on-frame kayaks. When not creating things, he spends his free time learning how to create things. Let's listen.
My name is Elroy, and I'm a house husband. That's not my confession though. A few months ago I lost my job. It was a pretty typical office-type job. I'd been there almost 19 years, and though I'd held many positions within the company during that time, each day was pretty much the same. Wake up, take the kids to school, go to work, grab coffee, then do office work till quitting time. Office work included numbers, and papers, and more numbers. I'll always remember the numbers. Numbers so large and so small, that they only make sense to other office workers. Some days were longer than others, but in general it was a pretty typical mouse in the wheel type grind. I hated it. That's also not my confession. To say that I hated it is probably stronger than necessary. I enjoyed most days, and I loved the people that I worked with, but for many, many years, I just didn't get the purpose of what we were doing. I mean, I understood what I was doing. I was working to earn money so that I could support my family. What I didn't understand was what we as a company were doing. We were making money. The weird thing about making money is that there's no physical product at the end of the day. There was lots of work, but no tangible result. If we weren't making money, our stress levels increased, our days got longer, and we saw our families less. I still had a paycheck, though, so I thought that I was supporting my family. Then that went away. It's a strange thing to lose your job. For me, it was both blessing and curse. The curse, of course, was the loss of a steady income. The blessing was a change in outlook. I've always wanted to work for myself. Be my own boss, make my own rules and so on. My wife and I have always wanted a small farm. After my job loss, my wife and I discussed options. I had a bit of a severance package that would get us through the summer, so we decided that I'd take a couple of months off. I'd worked 19 years, it wouldn't hurt to take some time for myself. I could work on some personal projects, and start planning the farm business. And so, I became a house husband. Here's my confession. People don't like house husbands. In the past couple of months I've heard many iterations and variations of "gasp, you're not working." Or you know, Acme company is hiring, I'd bet you could get a job there, or the longer you're out of work, the worse your resume will be. These people mean well. I understand their worldview. Traditionally husbands work. That's just what they do. Wives work too, if they want, but a non-working husband is somehow wrong. You can see it in the eyes of the well-meaning. They are talking to you, passing along advice, but mentally they are trying to figure out if you're a deadbeat, lazy, or just plain worthless. They can't understand that a man can be a homemaker too, and furthermore, actually enjoy it. I enjoy taking my kids to school. I enjoy having time to work on my projects. I enjoy cleaning the house, and getting supper ready. I enjoy the fact that I don't need to ask another person for permission to take a day off to run errands. I can just take care of things. If a kid is sick and needs to be picked up, I'm there. Groceries need to be shopped for. I'm there. Car needs servicing. Yep, I'm there. I can, you know, support my family. But wait. You're not working. That's not support. What does your wife think of this? My wife is busy. She's working 2 jobs, and volunteering at a local organization. She's not home much. And you know what? She's okay with me being a house husband. She knows that I'm now available to take care of the things that she's not available to do. She knows that she can rely on me to get things done that need to be done. She knows that when I'm not doing household things, that I'm working on planning our farm, and starting my own business. She's okay with our situation. Others are not. So why this confession? This confession is for those people who don't understand, and also a bit for myself, as the non-understanding people sometimes cause me to doubt my family's choice. Society has pigeonholed the homemaker. It's an unwritten rule that the person staying home should be a woman, while the man should work every day to bring home some money. You know what, though? It's okay that I'm a house husband. If roles were reversed, and my wife was home while I was working, it seems that society would be happy and balanced. People are used to housewives. It's strange that stay-at-home dads are looked upon as something otherworldly. We're not slackers, or broken, or deadbeats, we just have a different job, a job that pays in a different way. I'm still college educated. I'm still supporting my family. I'm still a hard worker. I'm just like a housewife, except, well, I have man bits. Yes, my name is Elroy, and I'm a house husband.
Mr. Elroy is truly a good house husband. He knows how to turn this role into something fun and delightful. This is a choice for those who are exhausted with repetitive 9-to-5 work. I hope that those with intentions to become a better version of yourself would be successful at your new goal, and do well as a house husband just like Mr. Elroy. I also found a speech by a Toastmaster member at Mossman in 1900. I assume that over 100 years ago, the common expectation about males was not much different from the current opinion about the instinctive role. If you're a man, your responsibilities are to take on both family and social work, and it's not just about taking care of the home and raising children. The man in the following story had an amazing 4-week period to take a break, and he realized that he surely had to do some work on his own. Let's listen.
Most of you in this room work for someone else. You have to report to a boss. And we all know what bosses are like. When you apply for a job, How do you know what the person will be like? Can you interview him and ask if he tolerates long lunches? Does he give unreasonable deadlines? And if you are happy in your present job and a good boss gets replaced with a bad one, that really kills the satisfaction. It seems to be a law of life, doesn't it? There's always one turkey in every flock of eagles. Have you ever wanted to tell your boss what to do with his job? I had the opposite experience last year. I didn't tell my boss where to go, he told me. The day was my birthday, December 20th, and I received a lovely present from my employers. They could see that I wanted to have a great holiday and help pay off my mortgage. In addition, they felt I should take another step in my career path. They retrenched me. I was given a birthday cake, a check and a guide on preparing resumes and how to attend job interviews. I had feelings of grief for almost 2 days, mainly because a large part of my waking hours were cut away from underneath me. I had shown loyalty to the same company, Prime Computer, for 6.5 years, so I was feeling hurt. It was unfounded loyalty, although it did help with the pro rata long service leave I received. Once the check was deposited in a high-yielding cash management fund, my wife and I flew to Japan for a 3-week holiday. Upon my return to Australia, I was not too worried about job hunting as the paycheck was earning high interest and my wife was working. I had important matters to attend to, such as having lunch with people I hadn't seen for over a month, and enjoying the Sydney summer. Of course, I had to get the resume in order and think about what I would like to do, but what was the hurry? The days were sunny and warm and had become used to lying in the sun and reading. I became very used to the lifestyle of giving my wife a lift to the station, buying a newspaper and enjoying a leisurely cup of coffee back home. It was at this point that I realized I was a house husband. My wife was at work and I was expected to cook and other domestic chores normally done on the weekend. As word got out to our friends with young children, I was starting to get telephone calls from women with irresistible offers to babysit them while they played tennis. I was never invited to play tennis. When you go shopping on Thursday night or Saturday morning and it is so busy, don't you wish you could do the shopping during the day when it is quiet? Wrong. Have you ever been to the supermarket during the day? The aisles are nearly deserted and the only hazards are a few pensioners buying cat food. Don't go after 3 o'clock or you encounter mothers with hyperactive children. But the real problem is when you go to pay, as you will find one, or if you're really lucky, 2 cashiers open out of 12. The delays are worse than the weekends. Gentlemen, being a house husband is not recommended, and I will give you further examples. You may think that you can do lots of things during the week, such as visit shops which aren't open on the weekends. What you will find is that the road is full of people who don't know how to drive. Ladies driving to bowls, trucks, couriers and tour buses who are lost. It is definitely quieter on the weekend. And don't think about having lunch with your working friends, as you will be greatly disappointed when they have to return after the regulation 1-hour break. By this stage, loneliness and depression set in, and unless you want to paint your masterpiece, write a book, or if you decide renovate your house, an urge will arise. The urge for social interaction around the coffee pot at the office and the Monday morning gossip. There is nothing like working, as it gives you something to talk about at home or complain about. You can participate in office romances, spectator or player, or settle for good old-fashioned job satisfaction. I confess that I was glad to rejoin the workforce after my 4-week sojourn as a house husband, but I was pleased to have painted the gutters, tidy up the garden and recharge the batteries.
So in general, there are still many stereotypes related to the role of a man as a house husband. I believe that in whatever role, men should always care about his interaction with the society. They should have time to do what they enjoy, such as playing sports or hanging out with friends. Those are the balancing things that make their life more enjoyable, especially for those who are house husbands. That's the end of today's talk show. Thanks for listening.